Hello, good morning. Welcome to Jaxx Vane Studio number 36. Live 3 times a week on Twitch, working on a sailing game simulator prototype. Tata Dev, good morning. So yes, so we left last Friday with the server and the client talking over UDP and exchanging pings. And I was thinking about it during this weekend, and actually there is a problem because right now the logic, right now what is happening is that the client is sending the ping and the server is sending the pong. That means that if there is a logic to translate messages, the client is going to be handling that logic, which is not exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to swap this logic. So I'm going to make it that the server is going to send the ping and receive the pong. So the server knows the latencies, and the server is going to do all the timestamp translation between the various timestamp references that we have for the client and for the server. And hopefully then we can move to this time sync. So the ability to translate times from server to clients. And then if we're still on time, we might start to send update packets, which is basically really the last step before we can actually see two boats appearing on the screen. Right after this, once it's like, the super basic system works, what I will love to do is come up with something that allows me to actually test this properly, which is always the main problem with multiplayer. So you can't really expect to be able to test it with humans every time you need to test. So what I'm going to do is, once I have what it looks like a multiplayer, so boats moving and at a very basic level without even interpolations and so on, I will switch back to sort of a single player mode and work on attempt artificial intelligence again, and that will allow me then to have clients running artificial intelligence for their own boats and test those in a multiplayer context. So that's the long-term plan that I would expect hopefully somewhere by the end of next week to be able to do this. So the idea is to get to these update packets. So having the basic multiplayer that does a super basic thing between today and tomorrow, and then switch to artificial intelligence, and hopefully by the end of next week be able to see the artificial intelligence driving the boat on the other client and racing. Something else that might become very, very useful is a network latency and reliability simulator. So in other words, just implement something in my UDP socket that allowed me to simulate latency between the UDP sockets, and also jitter and reliability, so packet loss and so on. So we can start to have an idea how things are going to look even if we are running the system on a single computer, right? So that's the plan. So let's just dive into it. Should be left only with okay, it doesn't even interesting. That means that there is something to fix if the server crash. Oh, this is so loud. if the server crash, I will have to the client crash, which is not what we want. All right, okay, so this is doing the binding. So binding address, boom, 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 reconnection, blah, blah, blah. What the hell is this? And this is the ping going back and forth. So, okay, so this is working. What happened if I close the server? Okay. All right, so this is working. So invert ping source is done. Right. This needs brain power. All right. All right. How this is going to work? When I get, I sold on the server. So when I get a Pong, remote TS minus timestamp, I think. So let's say, for example, on the server the timestamp is 10, and on the server the timestamp is 1. Right. So our offset is 10 minus 1. That should be all there is to it. This is very brutal. So eventually I know already that what we need. So what is going to happen right now on the internet for real is that, first of all, this ping is gonna jitter a lot. So this needs to be smoothed out, right? So this cannot work like this. It either needs to be smoothed out, or it needs to be an average of the last, whatever, 10, 20 pings to really work. So that's first. And the other thing that I learned with Assetto Corsa is that this offset should also slowly move there, because the problem is that as the ping is changing, the offset will jump instantly, probably as soon the message arrives. So that offset also needs to smooth out. But we should be able now to have all we need to start doing the update. The question is how. Let's try. We can see already that it works. So let me close this so we can analyze what this is saying and why it works. So local timestamp is 21 seconds. Remote timestamp is 10 seconds. Our ping is 2.5. So our offset is minus 11 seconds. And we test by translating 21 blah, blah, blah. So the local timestamp to remote timestamp, we should get exactly the same number, which is exactly what happens. So now, so we can say, actually we're going super fast today, which is very cool, because I really don't mind finishing early today. We can start sending update packets. Because I have to decide, I have two possibilities, which is the same with the Assetto Corsa server. So there are two possible ways, right? One way is that when we get an update message, we immediately send it out to every other client, right? And this is the easiest, the easiest system to develop. And it's also the system that has the lowest latency, because as soon the server gets an update, it just fires out the update to everybody. The other possibility is that it's something that in Assetto Corsa I used to call megapackets. And the idea is, what is the problem with this system? The problem with this system is that you get a lot of waste in the network traffic. Because what is happening is that the packets contain the data that you're sending, but they also contain other information that is needed by the network layer to make sure that this packet can reach the destination. So the address and other stuff that UDP needs. So it's your payload plus another payload on the top. And this payload now, I don't remember on the top of my head, but considering that the kind of packets that we're sending are pretty small, so this UDP header data is quite significant, right? It's almost, is near to 50% or 30%. So the idea is that if you if you could send like one packet with lots of updates, right? You will minimize the cost of this header, right? It will become smaller in comparison to the amount of data that it's actually your data that you're sending, right? So that's the idea of the mega packets. Also, the server can do more interesting calculations about, for example, how close to that client the boat is, and just tweak if you really want to send that update or not. The client, the server could decide, okay, this is so far that I don't need to send it 20 years on this boat. You can also, I can also send it to you at like, 1 Earth, and you will not notice because the boat is super far. Have you thought about how you will deal with packet loss and race condition? Okay, those are two very different things, right? So packet loss is, you just need to build your prediction to be able to deal with the fact that you don't have those informations, right? So you just predict with the best information that you have at that time, and that's pretty much it, right? So that's how you handle packet loss on updates. There isn't much you can do. And of course, one effect of sending a lot of these small packets, it's also that you might have more packet loss on the network. This is very, very difficult to even prove, right? It's something that I read, that if a router needs to drop a packet, it will more likely to drop a small packet than a big packet. Is it true? Is not true? I have no idea. But in theory, so if you have this mega packet, imagine these mega packets going out okay, so what's the other thing of the mega packet? So the idea is that you build this packet with the update from, let's say, all the boats. You can't really put all the boats if you have many clients, but let's say that you have this big packet with lots of update for each boat that you have in the game. what is going to happen is that, of course, you cannot send that packet every time a boat updates its position. So what is going to happen is that you set a steady pulse for the server. So you say, okay, every this amount at 20 years, yeah. Well, tick rate is different because the tick rate is the speed at which the server is doing like other kinds of updates, right? So it could receive, it could calculate the rules of how the rules apply and so on. So that's the tick rate. The send rate, it could be different than that and lower than that, right? So you could have the server running at 100 hertz, but sending out the packets, the mega packets at 20, right? So what is the problem with the mega packet? The problem for the mega packet is that it will add latency, right? So what is happening is that the server receives an update, but let's say that it received that update right after it just sent the mega packet, right? So that update will actually be sent out at the next mega packet send. So you're adding that amount of latency to the packet, right? So that's the trade-off, right? So the client don't send a packet every frame. No, the clients already don't send a packet every frame. No, first of all, because you don't know what frame rate the player is having, right? So the other thing that I found that it's very important is to have, in order to be able to predict the position in the future of a boat, it's very important that the updates are coming at a steady rate, right? So you will need something like 3 or 4 updates in the past that you can look, and ideally they should be separated by the same amount of milliseconds, so you can look at it and calculate the acceleration much better, the velocity much better, and so on. So in this case, I'm going for 20 hertz to start with, which is a number that I know that pretty much works, right? So you track some previous update from prediction. Yes, that's one way to do it. I tried different ways, to be honest with you, in these years. So I tried to send only the positions. I tried to send position velocity. I tried to send position velocity and acceleration. In my experience with Assetto Corsa, position plus velocity is the sweet spot. Right, that's what I'm going as my first attempt here. I have a feeling that both might be easier to do, but it's still we will have to see, because in general boats have a much less accelerations in general in every direction than cars, right? So we'll see. So that should be fine. Okay, let me try again just to check that the server is not crashing. And second client. Okay, so this is dead. This is dead. Is the server alive? And the server is alive. Cool. That's good. All right. So yeah, I think this is pretty much it for today, because we got here, and what I need to do is basically write the implementation for the netboat, and this is gonna be a long job. This is going to be quite a long job, because basically what we need to do is start from a super small bunch of data, that is the data that we're receiving from the network, and create a full-blown boat fixed state. So we'll have to come up with all crazy stuff from here, inventing all this information. A lot of stuff is not really needed for the game to function. What we really need, I wonder if, let me see, Marley Day, let me see what the problem is. Animation source, okay, because we don't have, okay. So for example, so I either make this code more robust, but no, I'm happy that it crashes like that. So for example, we will have to fill up the sails angle information, and that's something that is going to come from the packet, so it shouldn't be that difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult. Right, so that should be reasonably easy, but I think we're done for today. So thanks a lot, guys, for stopping by and check this stream out. I will be online probably well, for sure Wednesday morning, but I think there is a very good chance that I will be online tomorrow as well, because I'm really happy to basically I don't want to get to the point where I have two boats on the screen for the first time and not having a video for that. So I think I'm gonna be online tomorrow morning, just to keep pushing this one and get to the point where I have two boats on the screen. So probably see you tomorrow morning, otherwise for sure on Wednesday. And that's all for me for today, and ciao ciao.